All right, things are getting dangerous for everyone involved. Let's talk about the new Bad Monkey episode. That damn arm is back. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass, and it's Wednesday, which means it's Bad Monkey Day. We have a new episode of Bad Monkey, episode 5. That damn arm is back. It comes to Apple TV Plus on September 4th, 2024. It is the next episode in this really good series. It's gotten so much better. I mean, I've liked it from the start. I thought it had enough at the start to kind of like have an interesting story, and it has continued. It is getting really fun. It's getting very interesting, and it's getting a little dangerous. Should you watch this episode? Is episode 5 worth your time? Well, my hot take is I definitely think you should watch it. It is a fun episode. It's a little bit shorter, which I didn't like. I mean, I like this area. I like this world. I want to hear more about the stories and see what happens. But overall, I thought it was really funny. I thought it had, a really beautiful color palette and a little bit more danger than we're used to. So definitely think you should check it out. If you haven't started this series, hurry up, catch up, because it is getting really, really good, and it's only probably going to get better. So I'm going to tell you a little about the episode, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, and then really quickly go into a recap. So as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in the recap section. If you don't know what happens in this episode, and you probably don't, there's always some big twists, and there's some big twists in this one as well. I would turn off when I get to the recap. Before that, though, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler-free. Let you know when I get to those spoilers. So in Bad Monkey episode 5, it starts off right after the big conclusion of episode 4, where Yancy made that connection. He figured out that Nick and Christopher are one and the same, one arm in the same, and he is calling Rosa to tell her. He gets her voicemail, he leaves her a message, and then boom, Yancy gets knocked out by Nick. Now, what happens? Well, we find out at the start of episode 5 that Nick is going to have some very bad intentions with Yancy. Is he going to be okay? Is he going to be able to continue the investigation? You have to watch the episode to find out. So, things I liked about this episode. The first, I like the humor. It's really funny. It's still pretty funny. Vince Vaughn's humor is growing on me, or at least his character's humor is growing on me. I like Vince Vaughn. I like his style of humor. I didn't love it at the start, but I am definitely enjoying it now. And there are some really funny clips in here, some really funny moments in this episode. Second thing I like the neighbor part. I'm finally enjoying the neighbor part. I think because it's a little bit more antagonistic. It's like openly antagonistic. It isn't just like pranks. Like they are now actually upset at each other, which is really fun to see. The third thing I love the colors, especially with the way this episode starts. There are some really nice color palettes. You've got the opening, which is at night, and those red lights to make sure the sea turtles are okay. Really give it a striking, perfect start, especially because this episode starts in kind of like a more horror genre-esque feel. So those red lights are beautiful and perfect. And then it instantly switches to like the Bahamas color palette, which is bright, beautiful. One of the things I love about this series is just how bright and wonderful it is. And the last thing I love the danger. There is some danger here for a lot of the characters, not just Yancy. A lot of the characters are getting into some serious situations, some dangerous stuff, and I'm all for it. So all that being said, things I didn't love as much about this episode. The first, I'll call it kind of like dumb decisions. There is a pretty dumb decision at the start that kind of like opens up the investigation, and I guess it's important to like help move the investigation along, but it does seem dumb. And then some of the things that happen after because of that also seem fairly dumb. And the second thing I didn't love as much, I mentioned it earlier, it's a shorter episode. It's only 43 minutes long. I mean, why? I would love more time. I would love more stories, more situations, things like that. It has a good amount of stuff that happens, but hey, look, most of the episodes before have been like 55, 58 minutes. So this one at 43 kind of stands out. So all that being said, Bad Monkey Season 1, Episode 5 comes to Apple TV Plus on September 4th, 2024. Like I said, I definitely think you should check it out. If you haven't started the series, hurry up and catch up because it is getting really good and it's probably only going to get better. But I'm going to really quickly go into a recap now. So if you don't know what happens in this episode, I would turn it off now because there will be spoilers. So we start this episode seeing what happened to Yancy after he was knocked out. Nick is dragging Yancy to the end of his pier. He drags him slowly because he's only got one arm. He's dragging him. Eventually, he dumps Yancy into the keys, into the water, and tries to set up like a fishing accident. He uses his phone to kind of make sure that Yancy isn't alive still or doesn't see any air bubbles. Then he drinks some beers, throws them on the ground. I don't know why he drank a beer, because that seems like if he leaves some evidence there, that'd be pretty incriminating. I don't know. I mean, I guess they probably wouldn't test the beer, but come on, Nick, be smarter. Anyways, he throws some stuff down there and then leaves. Now, there are kind of three main storylines here. Well, two main ones and then a very, very brief one. So I'm going to go individually rather than jumping back and forth. We'll start with Neville. Neville is back on the Bahamas. He is hiding out from Egg. Egg is looking for Neville. He asks some friends, and then he ends up going to the Dragon Queen. And I love this scene because like Egg is trying to intimidate her, and the Dragon Queen is having none of it. You can see that she holds her own, and she like doesn't give in to Egg at all, which I really love. Crucially, we also see that maybe the Dragon Queen isn't as powerful as we thought she was. She's talking to Yaya after Egg leaves. Yaya sees Neville's boat on the shore, and she's like, "We gotta push this into the water. Neville will need it later." So it's interesting that Yaya had that realization, not the Dragon Queen. And also, Yaya has participated in the rituals that the Dragon Queen has done. So maybe the Dragon Queen doesn't actually have the powers that we think she does. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. We also do see a little bit later, she has like a fun experience with one of her friends, which is nice. Nice to see her kind of like unwind and not be the Dragon Queen, be her normal self. So she has few more layers in this episode than we're used to. Now, going back to Neville. Egg goes to visit Neville's friend, who we saw earlier. I forget what her name was, but Egg is looking for him. She says she hasn't seen him, but she has. Neville is staying at her place. He opens that USB drive that he stole from Christopher's office, and on it is a bunch of incriminating evidence, doctor deeds, I think, bribes, things like that. All the stuff that he has done to be able to get his resort. Neville wants to, turn this in, bring it to light so that the development is stopped, but he needs someone with power to be able to do it. His friend suggests that he calls this person, Tani, who works for like a city council member, to give her the information. He does. She is upset with him, as it seems like everyone who knows Neville is upset with him, but she agrees to pass the information along. They end up meeting. He's walking to the meeting. She asks for the USB drive so that she can set it up beforehand. He's not really good with technology. Neville gives her the drive, and then she instantly gives it to Egg. Egg is there. He's waiting to ambush Neville. Seems like Tani was paid off in order to give this information over. So I hope Neville made a backup on that computer because this seems like a very bad situation for him. He is able to escape. They are able to get out of there. They jump on a moped. Neville and his friend jump on a moped. They're pursued by Egg, but they're able to get to the beach. And when they get to the beach, Neville's boat is there. So the boat that Yaya and the Dragon Queen pushed out onto the water magically made it to Neville. Neville jumps in with his friend. They hightail it out and they get away for Egg. They're safe for now. Now, going on to Bonnie. Bonnie is hiding out after it was discovered that she was the same person as this teacher in Ohio that slept with her student and has been on the lam for a bit. She is hiding out, but her husband is getting pressured by Agent Russell, and she spooks him, so he decides to cut her off. So while Bonnie is hanging out at the resort, her credit card is declined. She realizes what's going on. She hightails it out of there and heads to Yancy's place, the place that she knows she's welcome, the place that she knows that she can hide out. Well, unfortunately for her, Yancy's not there, and his place is locked, and his secret rock key is empty. So she does what any jilted lover would do. She throws the rock through his door, breaks his glass door, and heads on in and waits it out. Now, unfortunately for her, that gray Yukon that had been following Yancy earlier and tried to like run him off the road or like run him off the sidewalk, I guess, is there too. It's watching. It sees Bonnie go in, and a little bit later, the driver of that Yukon makes himself known. We find out who it is. He comes into the bungalow, into Yancey's place, and wouldn't you know it, it's Cody, the student that Bonnie slept with years ago, is here. I guess he's tracked her down. Maybe he's been following her. I don't know. I mean, it seems like a very involved plot for him to be like stalking Yancy, stalking her for years, only to now make himself known. I guess we'll find out why later. I assume he is just obsessed with her and been waiting for an opportunity, but this doesn't seem like the right opportunity. And it seems like a very, very long time for him to be watching her. Maybe he just finally turned 18. I don't know. We'll find out why. But he comes in, he says hi, she recognizes him, and that's it. That's all we know. So that is the Bonnie storyline. Now, Yancy, the main storyline, the main chunk of the main meat of this short episode. Well, Nick wakes up the next morning and is packing up his stuff. Looks like he and Eve are leaving the US for good. They're going to go to Andros and stay there. I don't know what their extradition laws are like, but I imagine they're at least trying to lay low and avoid the heat of all the stuff that this Christopher person has been doing. Well, Nick can't find his phone. Where did he leave it? Well, Yancy wakes up. He is sleeping in the neighbor's house. He decided after he woke up, I guess, in the water. I don't know how he disguised his air bubbles because they Nick was looking. There were no air bubbles. Maybe Yancy just has really, really big lungs. I don't know. But he woke up, swam away quietly somehow, quietly got out of the water, quietly dragged his 6'5" frame, concussed frame, over to the other beach house. Well, he wakes up in there while the real estate agent is showing the house. Yancey does what he always does. He says something to dissuade the buyers from buying it, and then he leaves. And afterwards, Yancey and the agent have a confrontation, a real confrontation. They finally yell at each other, and Yancey threatens him. We'll see if that holds any muster later on. I imagine that that will probably come back to bite him. We'll find out. Now, Nick is looking for his phone, and he calls it, trying to figure out where it was. Well, he doesn't hear it, but Yancey does. Yancey's walking back to his bungalow. He hears a phone, goes to pick it up, and it's Nick's phone. He sees that Yancey sees that Eve is calling him. Nick is using Eve's phone to call. And so Yancey realizes that this is Nick's phone and that he was the person that knocked him out. Not, he probably already knew that, but now he has concrete proof. Now, what he doesn't do is go to the police and give this to him and like give them this information. I don't know why. It seems like they could use this phone to get some really good dirt on Nick. And, maybe that would break this case wide open. Yancey wants to solve it himself. So he doesn't go to the police. He goes to the next best thing. He goes to Rosa, his girlfriend, and the coroner at the Miami Police Department. Now, she checks Yancey out for a concussion, safety first. And then, as she's doing that, Yancey goes to the bathroom and Mendez comes by. He says, he's not sure why she's hanging out with that Yancey person. Yancey is wanted for murder, of Izzy. He was seen, even though Izzy was ruled a suicide, Yancy is now wanted for murder. So I guess Mendez reopened that case. Maybe his hatred for Yancy overcomes his laziness. But Yancy is now wanted for murder for that case because there was an eyewitness that came forward. So Rosa blows Mendez off and then helps Yancy get into a body bag and tries to push Yancy out in a body bag. It looks like she's going to be okay. But then as she's getting in the elevator, Mendez comes as well. And Mendez again is wondering like why she's with Yancy, says some like sexist things to her. But eventually we hear a movement in the body bag. Mendez goes to say, I think I will look into that body bag. And as he's bending down to open it up, the body bag headbutts him. Seems like Yancy headbutts him. Mendez gets knocked out and they're able to escape. Now, Rosa has to take Yancy somewhere to lay low. And so they head to Rosa's mother's place. Rosa's, I guess, probably family home. He gets there, he turns on the charm. It works for some of the family members, not the mother. The mother doesn't seem to like him, but most of the other members seem to. And Yancy ends up staying for dinner with the family. But during this time, Yancy tries to get Rosa's younger brother to unlock the phone because he's young, he's into tech, he's Gen Z. Maybe he can just hack it or whatever. Well, he's not able to, but he gives it a good try. Now, Ro, Yancy's partner, ends up going to see Summers. Summers calls him to like talk about Yancy, say he's really worried for him, but it's all a setup. He just wants to get Ro to admit that he's talked to Yancy. And afterwards, Summers threatens him with his job. He's like, if you help Yancy, like you're done. So we'll see if this makes Ro turn on him at some point down the line. I don't know. We'll find out. But it does also show that Ro is not like in cahoots with Summers. I wasn't sure with some of the things that Ro was saying that maybe he was working with either Christopher or Summers. Seems like Ro isn't. Seems like Ro is a good guy. He just, doesn't want to get involved in any trouble. Unfortunately for him, Yancy's his partner. Trouble follows him. So we'll see what happens down the line. Now, Rosa goes to see Yancy after dinner for a little late night snack, and turns out Yancy's gone. It seems like the mom wanted him gone. She probably encouraged him in the way that a strong mother could. But we also find out that the brother was working on the phone and wasn't able to unlock it, but it has a Touch ID. Touch ID, meaning you need to have a fingerprint. Where could we get a fingerprint for Nick? I think we all know where this is going. So before we get to that part, Eve and Nick stop by Caitlin to say goodbye. They're getting ready to leave Andros for good, or they're getting ready to leave the U.S. for good for Andros. And Caitlin is excited to see her dad. She's like, oh, I can't wait to come visit you. But Eve has to put a stop to this. Eve sees Caitlin as a, loose cannon, as a, loose end, which she is. And so Eve basically tells her like she can't see her father anymore. Like Caitlin is a loose end. She is telling her husband that her father's alive, which she shouldn't have done. She is buying new furniture and things like that, which she shouldn't do. She is a grieving daughter. She cannot be out there like looking happy and buying new stuff, going on a shopping spree with her father's life insurance money. Not good at all. So she basically tells her that she has to act like her dad, a sad daughter. Her role is to be sad. Your father's dead. You can never come see us again. And Caitlin like tells her off, like, are you like, you can't talk to me like that. My dad's never gonna let you talk to me like that. And Eve is like, yes, he will, because I'm sleeping with him. And so they kind of push this to a head when Nick comes back. Caitlin's like, are you gonna let her talk to me like that? And Nick is like, it's for the best, honey. Like, and basically agrees with Eve as he always does, as he always has, except for when she tried to make him kill Caitlin. But he always agrees with Eve, and they get thrown out by Caitlin. As they're leaving, Nick tries to like say goodbye, and Caitlin is pissed, and so she just throws him out. Now, back to Yancy. Yancy's trying to unlock the phone. It has a fingerprint lock. So where is he going? He goes to the graveyard. He digs up Nick's body. Nick's body isn't very, very deep because Yancy is 6'5", and he is definitely like up to his waist. So maybe it's like 2 feet, 2.5 feet deep, 3 feet maybe, with, or I guess maybe 4 feet with the coffin. But in any event, Yancy gets to the coffin, opens it up. The arm is there, and he uses the arm to unlock the phone. And while he's doing this, Rosa shows up and she gets mad at him, but Yancy's like, I'd love to talk, but I'm a little busy right now. Um, and Rosa brings up the point, well, what if the phone locks again? What are you gonna do? And so Yancy breaks off a finger from Nick's arm and puts it in his pocket. I mean, that's a lot of new crimes here. Trespassing, desecration of at least remains, but not maybe they consider a corpse. I'm not sure. Yancy's racking up a lot, but now he has a finger to unlock it, and he has the phone unlocked, so he can figure out more stuff. Unfortunately for him, a security guard shows up, and Rosa and Yancy have to run to evade the security guard, but they do. They're able to escape. But before this, as they're hiding from the security guard, Rosa basically tells Yancy she's all in. Like Yancy's like, I don't want to get you in trouble, blah, blah, blah. And Rosa gives him a kiss. So it seems like Rosa is, in this for the long haul. We'll see if that's a good decision for her. I guess we'll find out soon. Now, after they escape, Yancy's exploring the phone and he sees a text message from the pilot saying wheels up at 7:30. So they can explore this. They trick the pilot into telling them where the airport is, and then they head to the airport. Now, I don't know why they don't call the police. At least call Ro. Say, hey, Ro, there's a plane taking off at 7:30. Why don't you go check it out? There might be someone of interest on there that may be dead. Hey, Summers, why don't you check this out? It feels like they should have called someone with authority to try to stop the plane, or I don't know. I mean, I would never suggest this, but they could have maybe like called in a fake bomb threat for the airport, and that would have stopped the plane. Something. I wouldn't do that. That is not very good, but that is just an option that they could have had to stop the plane. They don't do that. They just drive to the airport, hoping that maybe they would stop the plane. I mean, this is Nick. He's killed multiple people. Yancy is very antagonistic to Nick. This doesn't seem like a good situation at all for Yancy. They drive to the airport. They're not able to stop the plane. They get there as the plane is taking off. Yancy jumps the fence, tries to run to stop the plane. I don't know what he's going to do. Like, he can't hold it. Even if he gets on the plane, I don't think they're going to stop. So it's a weird scene for him running to try to catch the plane, but he doesn't catch it. But as the plane is taking off, he calls Eve from Nick's phone. Eve picks up her phone. She sees that Nick is calling. Nick is like, don't answer, don't answer. But Eve picks it up, and it's Yancy on the phone. He basically tells Eve, I'll see you soon. So I guess this plan was to intimidate Eve. I don't know. It didn't seem like a very well thought out plan at the end, but that is how this episode ends. Yancy has made contact with Eve. She knows that he has Nick's phone. She knows that he's still alive. Nick never told her that he didn't actually kill him. Now, where do we think it's going to go? Well, now that Yancy knows that they are on Andros, he will probably head there too. Hopefully, he will get some other people to get involved that have some sort of legal jurisdiction to do something. I don't know. We'll see what he does. But he has the phone. I assume that Nick and Eve have like Find My Phone on or whatever, and it's Apple TV, so they'll probably want to highlight all the cool features that their phones have. Maybe Yancy will track Eve with the phone. Maybe there'll be some other cool Apple phone tricks that they can use to figure out more information or try to get some more information on what's going on. I mean, he has the phone. He has all the stuff associated with it. I guess Eve could maybe go and like report the phone stolen, which would lock it. Again, a nice little plug for Apple. Maybe they'll be able to remotely lock the phone and wipe it. I don't know. But it feels like eventually Yancy will head to Andros with Rosa, try to find out where Nick is and try to like prove more. Maybe he'll go back to Caitlin. Maybe now that Caitlin is so upset, maybe Caitlin will come to him and be upset about this. I assume Roe will also get involved against his better judgment and his partner's better judgment. I assume he'll also get involved. And at some point, they will probably meet up with Neville, who is hiding out, but maybe Neville will go. Maybe Neville will try to get this pen drive. Maybe Neville made a backup. Maybe he was smart enough to make a backup. He'll try to get that to the authorities. The only person he knows who cares enough is, Yancy, or maybe he'll at least ask his sister who knows Yancy. Maybe that's how some information will get to Yancy, and Yancy will be able to use that to try to bring this all down. I guess we'll see. I assume that the next episode will have Yancy heading to Andros, but we'll all find out next week. But that is Bad Monkey episode 5. Like I said, definitely check it out. Check out the series if you haven't started it. It's really, really good. This episode comes to Apple TV Plus on September 4th, 2024. And if you do check it out, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I would love to hear it. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.